Hey crafty people, not all cards have to be elaborate and complex. Sometimes less is more. So today I'm gonna show you 3 simple card layouts that are applicable for any occasion. And while doing that, I'm also gonna show you some beautiful products from the Altenew September release. So let's get started. I want to do some die cutting today, but I don't have any suitable cardstock or stamp inks. So what I'm gonna do is creating my own colored paper using some Altenew gouache colors. And I'm using the Altenew petal palette to mix my colors until I have the perfect shades. And once I'm satisfied with the colors I mix, I just distribute it all over my cardstock. And I'm also trying to create some color gradients just to make it a little bit more interesting. And while I'm doing that, just a quick side note that this video is part of the Altenew September release hop. So you have the chance to win some beautiful Altenew prizes by commenting on this and all the other videos in the hop. Similar to this first piece, I've created another one with more reddish and yellowish colors. And now I'm going to use these to cut some of those adorable little pears from. These are from the Altenew September release, and you can see how to put them together all on the back side of the set. And that's gonna open it. Here you have all the pieces. I think I'm gonna cut the leaves from like plain green cardstock. I have that one lying around, and the rest I will cut from these. So I'm just gonna put that here so I can see which ones to use, but generally I'll just distribute them across my colored cardstock and cut all the pears from it. Alright, now I'm just gonna cut them off screen because my cutting machine is not at my crafting table, and I'll see you in a second. So now I have cut all the pieces. I have roughly put them in the stack where they built the pear. And yeah, now I'm just gonna put them together. They are all designed after the keyhole mechanisms. So if you look closely, you can see the keyhole along with the letter and the number, which shows you in which order to put this all together. This is a little bit different than the usual keyhole system because there are some pieces that don't have a number, but you always have the back side of the set as your guidelines. So I'm gonna keep this here again just to see how to correctly put them together. And yeah, I'm just gonna do that, and I think I'm gonna speed this up a little. All right, so these are all the final pairs, and I just love how they look. They have this watercolor look to them, and they look just super realistic and just really, really cute. So let's make some beautiful cards with these. So generally, for all the cards we're gonna make, you'll need a focal point, which in my case will be these 3 pairs, and a shape. In my case, this will be some circles, and I'm using the Altenew nesting circle dies to cut some circles from the remaining part of colored cardstock that I created, but also from some pre-colored cardstock, I think. So I'm just gonna cut one tiny circle, maybe a little bigger, this one here, and yeah, I'm just gonna cut some of these, and I will be back in a second. Okay, so I have cut a couple of these now. I'm gonna put them aside for a second, and now I'm all set to start making my card. So for the first one, I'm gonna use a simple Dene 6 card base. I'm sorry, I'm really not good with inches, but that's is the standard card size here. And I want to add a bit more interest, so I'm gonna add like a card cover, and I want to put it at a slight angle. Plus, I don't want the edges to be so straight, which is why I'm gonna add a bit of ruffles with my scissors. I'm gonna just go along the edges with my scissors, just roughing the edges up a little bit. All right, I think this looks nice, and I'm also gonna roll up the corners a bit. So roll up these corners. You can use a slim pencil for this. I'm just gonna use my quilling needle for this. Either way, it should work nicely. All right, now it's ready to be glued down, I guess. So let's just add a bit of glue here and around the edges. This. And glue it down at an angle. Like this. All right. Now I'm gonna arrange the circles on top of this smaller card cover. I think I'm gonna go with something like this. And then I'm gonna add a pear at the center. I'm just gonna arrange it first before I glue it down, just to see how it will look like. And I want the circles to be inside this little square, so I don't want them to pass the corners. I think this looks nice, so I'm gonna glue it down just like that. To glue down my pear, I'm actually gonna use some Altenew foam tape just to add a bit of dimension to my card. Perfect. Remove the cover and then just stick it down, and I want it to cover the parts where the circles overlap, like this. Okay, and I still think the edges look a little bit boring, so I'm gonna try and tear it off. It works most of the time with a tape roller, so just pray that it won't rip. It's all right, perfect. I'm gonna add a different card cover beneath it, and I'm also gonna roll up the edges like this, or the corners like this. Let's see how it looks beneath my pear piece. Be something like this. I want it to be just a little bit tilted like this. Let's see how it fits on my card. And I think it looks nice. Perfect. So I'm gonna add a little bit more glue. And that's it. All right, I think this looks way better. And before I add the sentiments, I'm just gonna do all the other cards. For the next one, I'm using a white Dinner 6 card base, and I wanna also add a cover, but I wanna add a little bit of interest to the cover with an embossing folder. So I'm using the Altenew Textured Tiles embossing folder to do that. So I'm just going to emboss it, and I'll be back in a second. So this is what it looks like now. It's so pretty. All right, and I'm just gonna glue this to the cover of my card. The way I'm doing this is adding a little bit of glue to all the raised areas on the back, and then stick it down. I'm always a little bit paranoid because I'm afraid that I will destroy the embossing, but it's really sturdy, so don't be afraid. Just press down to make it stick. Now I want to add 2 circles on top of each other like this and place them here. And what I also would like to do is add 2 straight strips of paper behind it to add a little bit more color. And I really want to use the rest of my colored cardstock that I've created, but I don't have too much left of it, so let's see how this works. So the plan is, because it's not long enough to cross the circles, I maybe just split it in half and add it underneath it like this and try to make it look like a straight line. Yeah, that looks nice. I'm also gonna rip off the end just to give it a cool border. Let's see if I can do that. Maybe I have to help with a little cut. Like this, perfect. I'm gonna add it like this, and I'm also rip off the end here. That's fine. And add it here. And I'm also wanna use a second one. I have a little bit more left of the green one. Let's make it a little bit broader. Again, I'm gonna rip off the ends. This and this. I'm also gonna cut it in half because it's not long enough. And add it like this. Yes, I think this looks nice, so I'm gonna glue it down like this. Okay, the base is assembled now, and I still think it looks a teensy bit boring, so I'm going over the tiles in the background with a little bit of green ink and just hope that this makes it a little bit better. I'm also adding a tiny bit of yellow. Yes, I think this looks way less boring now, so I'm gonna add my pear. I'm gonna add it here. I'm also gonna use foam tape again. I still have that one left from before. Don't need much of it. Perfect, and let's make the last one before we add all the sentiments. Okay, this one will be the simplest of the 3 cards, I think. I'm using a dinner 6 card base again, and I'm again using craft paper. And for this one, I'm just gonna use a half cover. I'm gonna use my tape roller for this again. And I still try to get an even frame around it, like this. Next one, I'm gonna add this little green half circle that I created before. And I add it right to the cut edge of my card cover. I'm again trying to center it as best as I can. And now I can already add my pear. And I'm once again using some foam tape for this, because it's a really easy way to add a bit of dimension to your card, even though it's a simple one. This, I'm actually also gonna add a tiny piece of foam tape to the leaf. Whoopsie. Just to make it stick up too. And now I'm again trying to center it, so the half circle builds again an even frame around my pear. Like this. I want this to be an encouragement card for like a test or something, and I'm gonna write the first part of my sentiment with this Altenew fine liner directly on the card. It says, "You got this," and I've already prepared the next part of the sentiment, and it says, "You're so well prepared." You know me, I love some puns. I'm just gonna glue it right beneath the "you got this." I'm also gonna erase my pencil marks. And this is the first final card. And now let's also get the other ones a sentiment. Again, I'm adding the first part of my sentiment with the Altenew fine liner. And I have already prepared the second part of the sentiment, which says "perfect." And I'm adding it here. And now for the third card. But before I add the sentiment here, I want to add some paint splashes just to add a little bit more interest. Just some white. I can use the gouache color from the beginning for that. I think this looks great. I'm gonna let it dry for a second. This time I'm adding the first part of the sentiment with a black strip. And then I'm going again in with the Altenew fine liner and finalize it. And this is the third and final card. I really hope you enjoyed this craft along type of video. As always, you can find all the materials I used in my video description. And don't forget to check out all the other videos in the hop. I've linked them all down below as well. Subscribe to my channel for more crafty inspiration.